développement dio. BBS pas mais oh. Dilo d'abord dio. Baye Ben Sévérin pas si beau pour la mairie. Baye Ben Sévérin, tu as attendu ta prière et il t'a exaucé. Bienvenue monsieur le maire. Samy Dola, mon arrangeur au cœur blanc. Maman Mariette, président du fan club BBS. Babo Siei Oswald, Tossi. Ah, pas mais oh. C'est vrai, on pas mettre mais oh. On dit ouais, bébé pas mais oh. Nous bouillons si on passe comme oh. Oui honoré à zéro. Capitaine qui bien valait à zéro. Commissaire qui nous à zéro. Président Robinson à zéro. Président Basio à zéro. Président de Michel à zéro. Maman Bae Dorothée à zéro. Madame le maire c'est moi non pas. Mado wa poju kidi a moi non pas. Ah on pas mais oh. Avant son arrivée il a été annoncé. Celui qui doit sauver Djiblo est de retour. Le peuple entier, tout Djiblo est debout. Comme Jésus arrive à BBS. Armée de paix et de développement. Il dit entre ta vérité et ma vérité. Oh, il y a celle du peuple. Oh. C'est la Djiblo d'abord. La pierre rejetée est devenue la principale. Oh, ça n'est pas mais demain. Oh, Djiblo quand il plaît, tout le monde nous est assilé. Les doigts ici à prendre de vie en tranquillité. Ah non, le maître de Vietnam, Djiblo d'abord. C'est une réconciliation, dites-moi. Pour tout le monde a fait.
My king, I want to thank you very much. We've been enjoying peace, health, wealth, living in harmony.
Yes. On point.
You know I heard of your last harvest, yam harvest. Kuma, what is it?
We are in a very serious situation.
My son is dying.
My son is dying.
The water is deep. The water is bad.
Our water. We must do something about this now.
My king, you are very correct. We can't watch our children die. Look at this.
God, send somebody to help us.
Folks, welcome to the Liberia Catholic Radio.
Mighty God, hallowed be the name. Faithful God, you are worthy to receive all the praise. For you alone, you're the air that I breathe, the song that I sing. You're the lover of my soul. With you, there is no impossibility. With you, I can move the mountain. Whatever you say will surely come to pass. At the mention of your name, every knee must bow. Oh, unchangeable, reliable. Only you can do what no man can do. Unchangeable, reliable. Only you can do what no man can do. Everybody say unchangeable, reliable. Only you can do.
Thank you for being part of us here this morning. In Liberia. I'm going to be taking you to Greater Liberia, to Banga, to Bon County, to where Mr. Sam Blaru, hopefully I'm calling your name right, is the communication chief of the famous Phoebe consultant of the Phoebe Hospital. They're standing by inside Bangabon County this evening hour. Good morning, Sam.
Thank you so much, Afonso, for the opportunity giving us to be able to express some of the numerous challenges that the under referral hospital outside Monrovia is faced with, specifically the Phoebe Hospital and School of Nursing, situated in the Swakoko district, Bon County, Liberia.
Okay, good that you are here. As a matter of fact, we have this rendezvous before this unfortunate coronavirus came into play here. But let me just get your take here so far here. Let's get an insight of what is going on with this whole coronavirus inside Bangabon County. What are you guys doing? First of all, let's start from there.
Thank you for the space. All of us are aware that as of yesterday, this shocking news came to Liberia involving the executive director of the Environmental Protection Agency, in short EPA, one Nathaniel Blaman. He was, we understand the president doing the president's speech yesterday at the emergency speech, and they said breached the protocol. So, and when tested, he was confirmed positive of the coronavirus. And today's news for Front Page Africa and other reliable sources have also said that his cook, specifically one Johnny Phillips,
right,
also come down with the coronavirus disease yet in Liberia. So across the country, a lot of citizens have been concerned and so frustrated the way in which this government official came into the country with not proper checking, breaching the protocols, and because there was system put into place by the Ministry of Health as well as Enfield and other partners. So to have know that as a government official and coming to the country, so a lot of people on the radio stations across the country are all frustrated and disappointed at the way in which the virus has come to Liberia.
All right. Honestly, here, Sam, this has been the traditions of government officials, but I'd like to table that a little bit here. The Phoebe Hospital is a renowned hospital in Liberia, has been going through its own problem, and it seems to me insult has added into injury that you have your own things to deal with. Here we are with this coronavirus here. What is the preparation type from you as a media consultant in terms of educating the public what they should be aware of? Do you have all of the necessary tools, first and foremost, support to get a sort of outreach in Bangabon County?
Well, frustratingly, Afonso, the hospital was also faced with a very huge challenge addressing the issue of free oil, and which government's allotment is government allotted the last time 75,000 United States dollars as part of the hospital's allotment. That was last year period between October and of recent. When the hospital went in complete darkness again, the government was able to release 53,000 United States dollars, in which the running cost of that hospital does not commensurate with the amount the government is providing. However, we should say thank you to the government amidst the numerous challenges, financial challenges they are also going through. So with that, the hospital been able to initially procure 3,000 gallons of free oil, and that lasted the hospital for some period of time. Additionally, as part of that 53,000 that was allotted, the hospital's administration also purchased 9,000 gallons of fuel. So right now we can say for free that the hospital is running its normal services, talking about putting the generator on from 7 p.m. to 12 a.m. Then the smaller generator comes on from 12 a.m. to 7 o'clock in the morning. So that's a normal routine. But at least there have been few persons in the country that have making immense contributions. Some philanthropic organizations are making donations of 30 gallons of fuel, 25 gallons of fuel, and even as among the morning. So amazed that as the hospital was challenged, and based on yesterday's report that there is an outbreak of coronavirus. And this morning I was in conversation with the medical director, Dr. Jefferson Sivley, and he has called his staff, department heads, to institute measures to make sure that they can be able to curtail some of the huge challenges, specifically the RP system that was broken down in most of the health facilities, and to rebuild the RP system where people will be coming and they are currently using their trash. The trash was constructed by during the Ebola period, and that is in use right now. And there are several stations of washing your hands again with those mechanisms put to place. We think there are measures put to place to make sure that, and then any situation as such coming to the Leeward County, talking about Bond County, they will be able as health workers to handle some of these health conditions. And more than that, the hospital is also challenged amidst the Lassa fever. Lassa fever has been an outbreak in Liberia. It's of no secret. Bond County is of no exception because these are the Lassa's bill. You're talking about Grand Bassa. You're talking about that's Mike Gibby, Bond County, Nima, and Lofa counties. So amidst those huge challenges, I mean, they've been ready faced with, and right now we can say for free that the hospital is going through a very huge challenge. And so we're calling on other individuals, well-meaning citizens of Liberia who are in the diaspora to make sure that they be able to aid the hospital in providing the personal protective equipment. Are you there, Alfonso?
Yeah, getting you loud and clear.
Okay, talking about providing the PPEs, in short, we're talking about the personal protective equipment. Right now, the hospital doesn't even have. The government is also challenged with that, so Phoebe Hospital doesn't have. So most of the little ones they had were taking care of the Lassa fever patients in the isolation center. So that's a very huge challenge. So we also calling on partners and other well-meaning citizens of Liberia who are based in the United States of America to also look in these directions. Talking about essential drugs. Right now, most of the cases, the Lassa cases have come from neighboring Bakolo across the St. Paul River. And the hospital has been overwhelmingly challenged with that, talking about the Lassa fever. And most of the cases, and some even passed off from that. Bond County is neighboring with Bakolo County.
Right.
So we were also faced with those challenges. And then the coronavirus outbreak has also come, and we think leading to huge challenges in the hospital. So we're also looking at the direction of providing essential drugs specifically for the isolation center. The Lassa fever drugs, you call that the antiviral drugs, ribavirin. It seems to be an effective treatment for Lassa fever. You won't believe, Alfonso, that other institutions like Phoebe don't even have, absolutely, they don't even have Lassa fever drugs. So that's ready, this acting is really frustrating. So like I spoke with the medical director, he said these are some of the things we are concerned about as an institution. So anybody who's listening, we can also be able to aid the hospital into this direction. And people are just using in the isolation room, sometimes they don't even have medical and surgical gloves, no equipment, like I said. These are just some of the basic things to be able to handle some of the cases. If we can be able to contain Lassa fever in our health facility, then what does it mean if the coronavirus disease breaks up in the country like it is in Liberia right now? I think that is very troubling and to the healthcare delivery system of our country. More than that, we talk about medical and surgical gloves. The hospital doesn't have gloves right now, and so many other hospitals, but specifically to Phoebe, the referral hospital don't have gloves. If any patient comes, they will need to go out to buy their drugs. We think also it's a very risk to even the doctors and nurses where patients will be going out to purchase gloves to come for treatment. We think it's also a risk for them, exposing
yeah,
them.
yeah. Let me ask you here. This is quite fascinating. What I'm hearing from you, if patient comes in, I think this was one of the story that was reported in the front page. Africa and our correspondent Bettin Tino has been doing an extraordinary job, which you debunked to that. We will come to that. Can we get a sense of what really happens? Was it at the fault of the hospital, or what was the deal?
Oh, talking about the hospitals, more especially talking about like we talk about essential drugs, talking about medical supplies, medical and surgical equipment like the gloves. I mean, most of the funding, the allotments that government is providing is just for goods and services. And with the numerous challenges, attention is on the fee on
So
issue
what is
running
happening here?
the
Yes, Sam. I had to interrupt people. What is happening to this county or whatever social development fund? I intend not to inject politics, but politics is what makes up all of these problems in Liberia. The second in command, the vice president, is from Bon County. What are the Bongis in Liberia, lawmakers? Is there any fund still being allotted to the hospital as part of the social development fund or what?
As part of the county social development funds, 9,000 United States dollars was resoluted by delegates who went to that county sitting to the Phoebe Hospital. But you won't believe that that money was not totally raised, and it was around 5,000 that came, and also they went to
So
the
what
dimension of.
happens to the 4,000?
Well, the hospital was able to use that because she also and the deed is struck sometimes with some of their partners, their vendors. You take medical supply from them, you take fee oil, and as soon as you have government release money or anybody comes to donation, you'll be able to replace or pay the vendor. So it's like you take and put. That's the situation. But I think also if the government was providing all of the allotments, because if, like I told you initially, Alfonso, government allotted 75,000. Imagine that budget period, 75,000 from October last year, 2019, up to this year, due to the constant inflow of patients and people I face of challenges. And there were a lot of telephone calls on the radio stations and making the government to be aware of some of the things. Again, she also released the amount of 53,000, and these allotment come with specific mandates for goods and services. So and when that finished, they also
Is
taking
the
it in. They don't have a lot
hospital,
of time
so then the
between.
question will become, is the hospital involved in the allotment process? Because you guys are the hand on deck guys, you know what's going in, what's coming in, where they arrear, or they just send them down to, it just trickle down to the administrators, and you have no alternative but to implement those allotment as they come forward. Is that the case?
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, it comes with mandates from the government. Government has been doing extremely well with personnel costs. I mean, most of the workers have not been complaining since the amidst the harmonization process, and some were making a very lucrative salary. Let's say maybe 1,500, 2,000. But since the harmonization process and their income have been so low, and government is trying. And one thing the hospital administration and the workers union been able to suggest to the board through the Ministry of Finance is to have a one fee payroll system, and we think that will also curb some of the myth, some of the, because there are a lot of political interferences. Most of the politicians want to serve as medical doctor. They want to run the day-to-day affairs of the institution, and these are technical people. I think in my mind it's good to leave the work with the technical people, but rather when allotments come sometimes, and they will like keep checking and wanting kickback and the rest of it. So it has really tarnished the image of the institution. So we think moving forward is when Phoebe, the Ministry of Finance agreed to have this one payroll system of Phoebe, everybody will see his or her name. And I think it will bring some transparency. But like for the goods and services, like I said, the period is very long in between. If government give an allotment today, some of those money don't come in bulk. So it takes long period of time before another portion of allotment comes.
Right.
So if you order vendors, you have to pay them and the rest of it. So sometimes, and even the generator right now burn 15 gallons of fuel every hour. Every
15
hour, imagine
gallons.
that is so, yeah,
And
15 gallons of fuel
and
every
how many
hour.
hours we're
And you're
talking
talking
about
about,
it runs per day?
and you're talking about running more than, 10 to 11 hours per day. Shut down that generator and also put a smaller one on that is specifically responsible just for the hospital and not the residential areas. So it makes that like I reported the last time front page report. Even in the West, you have people still passing off. People will die in some major health facilities that also have the huge support. It was not based on the shortage of fuel, and that's what led to people dying at the hospital as claimed by Frontier Africa. And I think we strongly rubbished that report and said there was no iota of truth in that report. It was politically motivated because they under the leadership of the Jefferson Assembly, they've been striving. There were emergency fee oil placed in the generator. And at that period of time, although there were few crises at the hospital, but those feed oils that were placed in the machine were used specifically for emergency patients. We're talking about an accident case, somebody coming to the hospital, somebody's in labor. That's an emergency situation. So amidst the challenges, the few crises, stay the hospital was stayed, treating patients, emergency patients are coming. But amidst that as well, people who are coming, and the hospital is also treating electives cases. For example, if I'm ill and I decided to just walk at the hospital and I say, an example, I have hernia or my body is hurting and I want to do checkup, and the hospital management say, but we don't have the fee oil. But can you be able to provide fee oil? And when that client or patient agrees, or his or her relatives agree, and they go and buy maybe
Because as a matter of fact,
$10 of fuel.
that's the only way to the hospital can help. Because
Yeah,
if
sure.
you just don't have it, you just don't have it. What a
You
volatile
just don't have
situation.
it. So our colleagues saw that as an opportunity to damage the image of the institution. But amidst the huge challenges, and I mean the hospital administration is committed to working because this station serves the people. I mean this hospital serves the people of Bone County, not just limited to Bone County. You have patients coming from Bapolo, patients coming from Lofa. You talk about even at the Ivory Coast, the Guinea, and the rest of the
I mean,
countries.
anybody can be in transit in Banga, in Bon County, and if any sort of unforeseen circumstances, no Phoebe hospital will be there. So let me get a sense of idea, approximately how many persons this hospital can accommodate, maybe in a data. Let's put a figure on here for discussion purposes.
Well, the hospital accommodates more than 500 clients, because you have the outpatient department people that come, and when their conditions are very serious, again they seek admission in the hospital. And sadly, you will not even believe, and that's why we continue to provide information to the public. Sometimes our people absolutely don't even have the money. They walk to the hospital, they come for services are provided. I mean, absolutely don't have the money, you don't have anything from them. And when the doctors or people from the information will ask them, they say they don't have money. And that patient gets on his or her feet after recuperating, and that patient walks out of the hospital with his or her hands shrinking. You can just get anything from that patient. So the hospital administration were also looking at the issue of service for fee, where people are going to be paying some little amount for services. And I think currently that is working well at the outpatient department, and they are charging patients or clients who are coming for 100 Liberian dollars just for your cut. And sometimes the issue of fuel shortage or some issues that will need to be addressed, they can throw hands into those monies quickly and to be able to aid, to be able to help in the direction before government allotments come.
Okay.
And right now the issue Phoebe has been feeding her patients. So I was talking to the administrator not too long. He said that will also cut off because The hospital is providing huge amount of money for
What?
feeding. And
What becomes the fate of those patients if the feeding process starts? But we always
and that's
also
why and that and that's
before
why
you
and
come
that's
to
why
that.
and that's why if no that's why the first if no partners come in right now, parents or relatives of these people need to take the full responsibility. People need to try right now amidst the huge global challenges, the issue of finances and AIDS are not coming to the country like before. You are aware that America is also challenged, and also some African countries like China, European countries are also giving aid to Liberia. Most of the help are not coming again. So it's time that
So
if I pregnant my woman, I should be able to try at least to keep 1 or 2 cents to go at the hospital.
I
Very
know,
sure.
right? The same strength they
You will
get
not
them, but
even
be able to find the
but you will not
resources.
you will not even believe the fact that the hospital's administration introduced the drugs revolving fund. They take the drugs from CHAD. CHAD is the Christian Health Association of
Organization.
Liberia. Yeah. So they take the potent drugs from CHAD and they put it in the pharmacy in the hospital, different from the government-owned pharmacy that is managed by a separate group. And the availability of drugs is always constant. You always have drugs in the hospital, and that will not enable you to go outside to buy drugs. Because let's take for example, if you carry your patient and they told you they wrote a prescription to go and buy medicine, you know the distance from
So
Phoebe Hospital to Banga. You know
okay.
the distance from Totota to Banga. So the availability of drugs will always be in
Okay,
stock
so
and
Sam,
affordable.
yeah,
Yeah.
let me get some interaction here from our Orlandos. We always allow them to participate in these sort of critical discussions because that's going to give them a sense of what is unfolding. One Emmanuel here, Emmanuel Sopiciat, I hopefully I'm calling your name, Email. Emmanuel wants to know how many bears does Phoebe has? How many bears in our hospital do you know?
Talking about how many hospital beds?
Yeah, how many hospital bears for that matter?
Over 100, little over 124 hospital beds.
Okay, Emmanuel is saying that Emmanuel, just for your curiosity, said over 124, and he wants to know to what are the equipment in the laboratory and how do the laboratory technicians and technologies, how many, do you have the equipment there in the laboratory to do some of these things?
Yeah, fortunately for us, there's a group that has come from America to do a research and partnering with the Hospital. They are trying to, they have built a modern laboratory and they are doing the research of Lassa fever vaccine. Like I said, Bone County is one of the epicenter for Lassa fever, and based on their agreement and relationship of collaboration with the hospital, and there were most of the tests has been done. That building will be officially dedicated in 2 months' time, and which that laboratory will be specifically responsible for NASA fever cases and
No,
other cases in the country.
no.
And so that will be original laboratory. So we think also it's a boost for the Phoebe Hospital. But again, hospitals have a very large medical equipment. So the issue of fuel consumption is very hard to running this medical equipment. And I can say that with the support from some of the partners to Phoebe, the laboratory is at least best that people can be able to do some laboratory tests.
Okay, there are some Bongis here in the US and listening globally to our followers and fans of the Liberia Public Radio. Our own analyst, Mr. Amos George, and other folks that are here. I will be coming to that. But with all of these circumstances and challenges facing the Phoebe Hospital, Sam, I want to know, has there been any memo from the Institute of Public Safety and the Ministry of Health sending some sort of memo in terms of making preparation for this deadly virus? Anything of such has come down to to that hospital? Are you aware of? Is there any contingency plan in case of any eventuality?
Yeah, for sure. Just the moment that I said, the medical director and staff were in an emergency meeting today as soon as the outbreak was noted yesterday in the country. And people are traveling from one point to another. So one point is in central region. So they been discussing protocols that assist them to
tomorrow is going to be another health coordination meeting. What health platforms that the hospital and other institutions will also be aligned.
Your voice
So
is
that
fading. I'm quite sure maybe that it network. Your voice is fading away a little bit. Are you there? Okay.
since the rain is falling, yeah, heavily,
Oh,
I'm
it's
right
raining.
now.
Oh my goodness, it's raining.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, so for sure, they have instituted measures. I mean, the issue of the RPC protocol at the hospital. It has started to be reintroduced, and right now the hospital administration have said that there should be no more than one caretaker, entering the hospital to take care of his or her patient. So these are restrictions, and every part of the hospital right now has a washing hand bucket, and those are some of the issue challenges we are faced with talking about sanitation materials, talking about hand sanitizer, soap, chloride, and the rest of the materials because with these protocols that have been put in place right now, and every now and then people will be coming in, people will be going out. So there are strong measures. Also, they have their own private security firm. They have been informed, no matter who you are, before you even enter the compound, you have to stop, get down from your vehicle, wash your hands before you can go.
Yeah, folks, please bear with us as we are hearing our guest from Bangai is heavily pouring there, so that's one of the reasons the voice is fading away. And I think I have a little good news here, which of course I've been discussing with some folks with Bungis in the USA, and I think Emmanuel here from all guests here, I believe he's a Bungis here in the diaspora. He says we are currently lobbying for funds to help Phoebe as citizen of Bonn, and we need to know some of the needs. So this is a perfect venue here. Hopefully, I don't know who is the president or whether they have an association, but I do know Mr. Amos George, who is our analyst here, is a citizen from that county. And George Toto and other folks now, they are rallying around, seems to claim this here. Have you connected with these people, the citizens of Bonn County here in the U.S. by any chance?
Well, I think this is a perfect opportunity because some of us took over the communication department of the hospital very new, but that Jefferson City has been in the state so many times, lobbying with other citizens from Bonn County. And like doing this interview, we think is a very good ways of linking us to these people so that all of us back home can be able to support our beloved Phoebe Hospital, our institution that is drowning down. And we think these can be some of the opportunities. And initially, like you said, I think the issue that needs prompt intervention right now, you talk about medical and surgical gloves, talk about essential drugs to run the isolation center, talking about the personal protective equipment, the PPEs, and these are materials right now. So, like this outbreak, everyone is afraid right now
So
because it will not be.
yeah, is one of the apprehension here. This is a two-way street, and anybody coming on the network yet, you just have to go through the radar, our radar here to make sure we get the right information. The apprehension here, Sam, has been people in the diaspora, even people here, trust accountability. It is quite amazing. You go to these hospitals in Liberia. They will say no medication, but these doctors they have their own private clinic, and as the result, relief or things that goes to the hospital, they take it out of the hospital. It goes to their own very clinic, and then they give you prescriptions, and you are being charged exorbitantly. These are some of the apprehension people in the diaspora here have, and even people are born here complaining. How differently if the citizens of Bonn County, under the sound of my voice, listening this morning, listening other places across the globe, say, oh, we need to rescue Bonn County. And I told some of them, you need to start it and we will join you. But this is a national cause. What would be the guarantee if any of a consignment you as a media consultant or the executive director or the CEO that will ensure whatever that is given to the Phoebe Hospital, it will be used solely and wholly for the patient there. Is that something that we can bet on here?
Yeah, obviously, I think those concerns are very great because these are citizens who are based in the USA and working overtime to make sure that they get the necessary resources. And if you can be able to send back home here these resources and helping your people. Talking about the Phoebe Hospital, I think the issue of management is surely put to place because I'll give you an example. Like I told you about the last time the Rotary Club of Manga, they were able to buy over 1,000 gallons of fuel and turn it over to the hospital. And that helped through up to we went into the fuel crisis. And right now there are other people since we've been taking the media. There are other people who've been coming willingly on Phoebe company making donations. So you're going to be remembered for that, and there are systems put in place and tracking system that when you provide this equipment and rest assured that the management is doing everything possible to make sure that they be able to take care of this equipment that we provide because they are for our people. So we have not had an experience one day a medical director taking drugs from the hospital. If that was the case, like I told you, we would have been in this very cordial partnership with a child. Child that is providing drugs, even if the hospital has money or not, child provide drugs. And these drugs are kept. They are managed by different people who are in the hospital, different employees. And I think we can say for free that that is very brilliant, that anyone can be concerned about this, the issue of accountability. And I think the hospital administration is well thought of that. And that's why every measure that says they have put into place, and when you put your 1 cent, your 5 cent, it will be properly managed, and the citizens of Bond County can be able to actualize that.
I had to do this, and it's not meant to put you into a dirty water here this evening. I know your job is at stake, but I'm wondering here, these lawmakers, sometimes by mistake, they caucus from Bond County, do they take upon themselves to go see the plight, to visit a hospital, to see the plight of their people? Do they do that by mistake at times?
Yes, of recent, we had the current caucus chair one, Honorable Tukba, and from Lower Bond County, specifically the last district, that's Papa Kolen, Honorable Papa Kolen, from District Number 7. He has taken over from Henry Yala as the caucus chair. So he and Mema Briggs from District Number 6, as well as District Number 7, last week they were at the Phoebe Hospital to ascertain some of
what are they ascertaining? Are they not hearing what is happening? Are they not seeing? So going there. So what next? I'm all for getting results. I'm all for getting the implementation aspect.
They are aware of some of these situations because it's not in healing, and every time it's in the news, Phoebe is in the news, so they are aware. So perhaps sometimes they pass back and stop. But I think one of the sticking issues that have been over the hospital is the audit report, and currently the audit report is up, and the audit was conducted. The board instructed the internal audit agency RAA, the government-owned auditing firm. And they also did the audit, and that audit vividly did not even capture any financial malpractices or somebody stealing money at the institution. So, and I can remember District Number 3 lawmaker one, Honorable Josiah Marvin Cole, alarmed so many times that there were people eating money and he wanted people to
I have invited, because our correspondent that news office, I have called Honorable Melvin Cole multiple of times. He pledged to come here up to this time to no avail.
Yeah, for sure. So right now with the other report that have been released, it has silenced those political people in the country that were tarnishing the image of the institution, and the goal would be analyzing to see if those employees who were suspended might be coming back or not. So that is critical, and that is in the purview of the board right now, headed by Mr. Tonana Papla. So I think that's one of the ways that the image of the hospital has been restored.
What is the overall situation in Bond County right now as we speak? Is there enough information to media outlet? Is there enough outreach on the educations of this coronavirus?
Well, you may be aware that the virus is very new yet. Like when Ebola was coming into our country, so people are still making research and Enfield, that's the National Public Health Institute of Liberia, Enfield, the Ministry of Health, And I have a health program here in the county, and most of you guys will be appearing by this evening on my platform, because we have a very wide platform, and they will be providing on the awareness. Yesterday, the superintendent was on the radio station letting the public that coronavirus is here, is true, and people should wash their hands. They shouldn't be into large gathering as well. So the information are coming, but we just hope that the experts themselves can be able to provide the actual information, because again, we should be able to manage information. If you don't manage the information properly, and you mislead the public, it causes more harm and danger. So we are waiting for the health authority, talking about the Ministry of Health, and through its partners to talk about MPhil and the rest of these institutions to come out with vivid information, talking about releasing it to the public.
Let me ask you this person. You would be the right person to authenticate this information. And just tell me it, because I've been trying to reach to Dr. Fala as well. There's an appointment here. Hopefully he will accept our invitation to appoint to appear on this network here. What I'm saying coming out of Liberia is quite appalling, and I think much needs to be done. As you may aware, Ivory Coast, Guinea, they are all infected with this virus here. I'm wondering whether there is an annex, or there is a place that identify the past in case there was any virus person with virus to be quarantined, or are they waiting until individuals identify before finding out place to be quarantined? Is there any place in Bon County now that is say, okay, we have this in the middle of Bon County and on this side of Bon County, in case of anything, we will take this person that to be quarantined. Is there any such right now as we speak?
Well, I think these are some of the plans. Like Dr. Fala is the head of the Liberia, that's into the Liberia Health Public Institute of Liberia, and I think right now they are using the somewhere around the Singot area. I understand when on used to have as a holding center for now, and there's no specific place in Bon County, unless like for Phoebe Hospital has an isolation center for Lassa fever cases. But
you can put Lassa fever.
Identified...
You can put Lassa fever with people that might be having that virus.
Yeah, for sure. So that's what I said. That information has not come from MPhil, the Ministry of Health, talking about specific place, just in case if the virus spreads, where to hold them, or to be taking some supportive treatment, and that has not been identified, to my knowledge, by the health authority.
Let's establish direct contact here, which of course you have been doing here. But let's communicate with the Bongese citizen outside of Liberia. Even those people in Monrovia say Liberia, they get money for more than some other here. But let's establish a contact here with the Bongese that are in the diaspora here. What specific message or what sort of assuring do you want to tell them, and what do you want them to do on behalf of the hospital?
Yeah, for sure. Like we've always, many of them have made several contributions. One Dr. Gassini, one Mr. Gassini, who's from Kokoya district, based in the U.S.
In Minnesota. I've been hearing a lot about
Minnesota. He always send consignment of beds, medical supply, and the rest of it to hospitals and clinics in Bon County. And I think he's been doing extremely well. These are people who have made immense contribution, and I think back home, your people are also here. And while you're there, it's good that this only referral hospital, Phoebe Hospital, be strongly supported, and we can assure them that the issue of accountability is well put to place, and just get in touch with the right people. Our telephone lines will provide them, and supporting the hospital is very key. Like I talked about some of the essential materials right now, the PPEs, and that is ready needed, so people can start preparing themselves to make sure that they can be able to hold any further contacts or any further outbreaks coming to Bon County, which we don't pray for. Talking about essential drugs the hospital need, medication. Talking about the the issue of medical and surgical gloves, equipment, sanitation materials, hand sanitizer, soap, and the rest of the materials. At the end of the day, the big one is the issue of the running cost of the generator, the fee oil. So maybe we can have a backup system of solar backup like other people have done. I think that will also help this institution. But we count on every Bond County citizens that are based in the U.S. If we can give a fasten, a little support is immense to supporting the hospital and Phoebe Hospital, and Bond County citizens will not forget about you.
We hope to get Superintendent Walcott and Sam, knowing now that you have your own platform that is in the business of creating an awareness. This is the ultimate goal of the Liberia Public Radio. We want to reach urban Liberia, rural Liberia, outside of Monrovia. Monrovia is just minute of the country. They have the 14 other political subdivisions, and I think these people should have access to information as well. That what we do, sure. And this is what our correspondent Bertin is doing an extraordinary job. We are all out there looking for collaboration. Please do me a favor, because I see a lot of Bongis here already expressing their concerns and their willingness to support. So whatever necessary contact information that you have, send it to my inbox. Definitely, I will share with Mr. Emmanuel Amos George here, who is our own analyst, Mr. George Toto, and some of those Bongis that we know to share that, and perhaps you can have that sort of in-house conversation. Because I told Amos George, I said, look, you know what, this is not about Bond County, but you know what, you who get your house, you got to start building that house before we can all join part of it here. But this is a water course. But I want to thank you so much for taking your time. I know it's getting late inside Liberia. What would be your final message before we let you go?
Well, we'd like to say thank you so much for holding us on the platform to express interest of the institution. Like I always told people, if a citizen of Bond County here, Liberia, walks today and fall in the street, the next place you go is the Phoebe Hospital. So we have to do everything in supporting that institution, and under the watchful eye of Dr. Jefferson Sibley, who is a medical director for Phoebe Hospital, and his core team or core members. We like to extend our gratitude to you, and we just hope that this should not be the first time or the last time. Let's continue. Whenever you get information, you want us to provide some information, we're there to fill in the gap. But everyone is under my voice and looking at us talking and making these appeals, as long as you can be able to help the institution. And I know one day when you come to Liberia, you will be so proud of the Phoebe Hospital. So the management is working amidst the huge challenges. The management is working seriously to make sure that what we committed to doing as institutions, saving life. And so in this part of the country, in this part of Africa, your contributions can be able to save somebody's life. Because right now, the government has said that the issue of maternal mortality should be reduced. How can we reduce mortality? And when our pregnant women are staying in these towns and villages, when they can seek health care quickly to the biggest health facility, when they came at the health facility, they said no drugs, they have to give you prescription. I mean, it's very disheartening. We just hope that everyone can be able to commit their effort to seeing Phoebe Hospital #1 in this region.
All right, well, Saint, I want to say thank you for being very spontaneous to our request. You never hesitated. You never acted like those who wanted to know the type of questions we will ask before they can even come on to your readiness. It shows that you are willing and you have been doing to what you're supposed to do. You've been forthcoming with information from all indications from our correspondent, and that has been validated here this morning to afternoon on my end. Thank you, and like you said, our lines are always open. Don't hesitate to share correspondence with us. And we can, Liberia Public Radio and African Start newspaper has pledged her support to whatever any sort of outreach. If anybody want to speak from Bond County, send us that audio to we will advertise it. That's our next target. We want to have the voices of the 15 political subdivision to create this public health awareness, and not just only it. We want to be proactive. We want to get ahead of the game. In as much we will critique the government, we must also be part of a nation building. That is our ultimate goal, and that's what we intend doing here at Liberia Public Radio. Thank you very much. and
Thank
let
you.
everybody keep safe there. Let them follow their health provider protocols and do what is right to make a healthy nation. Sam, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
part of my program this morning.
Thank you so much, Francois. I appreciate you, sir.
All right. Okay, well, folks, there you have it. We're going beyond the saints and not just only focusing on the action, going beyond the actions. I've been speaking with Mr. Sen Blaru, who is the media consultant at the Phoebe Hospital. Willingness to come and appear on the Liberia Public Radio to take you insight of some of what is happening. We hope to do it to other counties as long as they are willing, and we have their contacts. This is what we want to do. This is a global fight. You know what is happening in the USA and other parts of Liberia. As part of Liberia Public Radio, involvement into this, Liberia Public Radio, in collaborations with the African Star newspaper, has released a second news commentary. I am Afonso Zienso from the New England Bureau of the Liberia Public Radio, broadcasting here live this evening from the ocean state of Rhode Island. So we're going to take a quick break and I will be right back.
African Star and Liberia Public Radio bring you this news commentary on the breakdown of compliance with health and safety rules in Liberia, which have now led to a confirmed case of the coronavirus in the West African country. The drama surrounding the disclosure of the first confirmed case of the coronavirus known as COVID-19 in Liberia on Monday, March 16, 2020, was not a big surprise. The WEA administration's admission that an official of government, the executive director of the country's Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, had tested positive for the highly contagious COVID-19 virus, raised the spectacle of the following critical concerns. 1. The lack of discipline and respect for health protocols in Liberia and in Africa. 2. The perpetuation of the big shot syndrome in Liberia and Africa, by which officials have their own set of rules. 3. The Liberian government's long-term dependence on foreign technical capacity and assistance in times of crises. 4. Centralization of material and resources in the capital, Monrovia. And 5. Lack of national leadership on the containment of the coronavirus in the country. African Star and Liberia Public Radio last week warned Africa about the urgency of instituting clear and effective prevention and containment measures. In Liberia, since March 13th, an unknown number of persons have been exposed to the individual who tested positive. If the allegations are true, then it was totally reckless for the individual who has been identified by the government as the confirmed COVID-19 case to have ignored compliance with health and safety guidelines at the airport. It is a well-known fact that public servants who occupy high office in Liberia and parts of Africa often flaunt public laws because they consider themselves better and privileged above ordinary citizens. Even after a positive test and medical evacuation from his home became necessary, the individual in question chose to write the protocol of how he wanted to be taken to the hospital, drive behind an ambulance. This is gross recklessness on the part of this public official, and he should know better. Additionally, there was no expectation that clear public health protocols will be implemented were a COVID-19 suspect identified for quarantine. Citizens who choose not to be quarantined can expect no repercussions because a weak national health system and political leadership are distracted, and national policies are party-driven rather than people-driven. The consequence is that the poor and vulnerable in Liberia will be hugely affected for some time. African Star and Liberia Public Radio are citing the Liberian health authorities and political leadership over incompetence and deteriorating governance. It is unacceptable that many citizens have now become exposed to the risk of contracting COVID-19. Citizens must peacefully register their outrage and reconsider support for the type of political leadership that continuously forgets who they work for, the people of Liberia. African Star and Liberia Public Radio offer the following recommendations. Identify and approve emergency budget. Designate appropriate quarantine areas across Liberia and inform citizens accordingly. Create quarantine information exchange mechanism to facilitate communications between quarantined individuals and family members, and this must include feeding and medical care for quarantined individuals. Establish an emergency budget to fund disease surveillance, training, treatment, and post-treatment counseling. We call for an independent financial management team to handle the disbursement, distribution, procurement of material, and audit of resources allocated for the emergency program. That the Liberian government will undertake an aggressive public awareness campaign on the coronavirus. Provide regular update on containment of the disease. And as part of our public service commitment, the African Star and Liberia Public Radio will make available their platforms to enhance public education and campaign so that together we defeat this pandemic. This news commentary is a collaboration between African Star and Liberia Public Radio.
Experiences from the massive effects of the Ebola outbreak that pillaged the West African nation Liberia, the country is galvanizing all efforts to institute measures for the global healthcare nightmare, the coronavirus outbreak known as COVID-19. As COVID-19 continues to spread in sub-Saharan Africa, the Liberian Airport Authority, in collaboration with the National Public Health Institute of Liberia, NPHIL, and the Ministry of Health, MOH, has instituted measures to ensure that people accessing Liberia main international airports are screened for symptoms related to the novel coronavirus.
We have mandatory washing of hands for both the inbound and outbound of our terminal, and that is not just limited to passengers. It's also include our workers, anyone flying the terminal, people around. By the time you come in, you have to make sure you wash your hands before getting in there. That is the first measure we put in place.
We have initiated enhanced screening at the airport. Initially, when we had international rigs, we realized that the point of highest risk for an imported case would be the airport, so we launched since the 25th of January enhanced screening of all travelers.
Coronaviruses, COV, are a large family of viruses that cause illness ranging from the common cold to more severe diseases such as Middle East Respiratory Syndrome MERS-CoV and severe acute respiratory syndrome SARS-CoV. A novel coronavirus nCoV is a new strain that has been previously identified in humans. Public perception of the healthcare system and the doubting of local people that there was an Ebola outbreak in Liberia in 2014 resulted in a high number of people infected with the Ebola virus then. But it seems that this may not be the case with coronavirus.
No, now I'm confident. With this setup, there's absolutely no way Corona can pass here.
I think our preparedness is based on the fact that we've experienced Ebola, and of course, nobody needs to teach us, So I'm impressed with the Ministry of Health, NFIL, and Liberian collaboratively willingness to ensure that this disease doesn't infiltrate in our territory.
I'm just impressed with what I'm seeing in Liberia now. I was worried when I heard of the coronavirus. Looking at what we suffered during Ebola, we were not very much prepared. So my worry has been how we prepare. So I'm actually surprised with what I'm seeing. I think it's something that impressed us, we the travelers, and those that are even thinking about coming and worrying about what they are going to meet and what they are going to see.
I've just come in and I'm very impressed with what I saw. The testing at the beginning and the washing of hands.
The growing positive public perception of the response is also showing that Liberia is ahead in ensuring adequate readiness for the viral disease that is currently plaguing the world.
I think Liberia has taken a good step in the right direction to have everyone wash their hands with soap upon entering the country. I think that's a good step.
Yeah, this is very good, very good. I mean, they're taking a lot of precautions.
Our resilience is higher, we are more prepared, and I want to use this opportunity to commend both the airport authority and our health authorities for the measures. The coronavirus is very serious and we have to take it seriously. So I'm pleased that I entered this airport, and unlike other airports I've just traveled, there is a rigorous training exercise. I think this is good and we should all submit to it.
The response mechanism instituted to ensure Liberia detects any case at its earliest stage possible goes beyond just temperature check and hand washing at the airport.
In the process of going through the temperature check, when we found out that you need to be referred, we have a container that we prepare. Both Dr. Fala and I, we prepare air-conditioned for reference, and we have the ambulances and others, health workers who are on the standby, who are also willing to receive those who will be checked, and right from there they are taken to a place where later on they are released. And measure is put in place here, and I mean we do it without any form of harassment, without any form of intimidation. The same way you come to the country when there was no coronavirus, it's the same way we carry out our normal routine. There is no need of being afraid. There's no fear.
The observation centers have already released several people that completed the quarantine period without any signs and symptoms of the illness.
And we took one step further. We introduced a form of quarantine that we call precautionary observation. Since the 2nd of February, all those coming from country with high and widespread transmission are taken from the airport to a place we call our precautionary observation center. We have our 150 persons go through that we've been monitoring. After 14 days, they are discharged.
The country has also beefed up its readiness by setting up a specialized laboratory to test coronavirus cases in the country. This contrasts with the serious problem faced in the early stages of the Ebola outbreak that Liberia had to send specimens out of the country to get tested, and it took days for the results to be available.
Our ability to test for corona is based on the fact that after Ebola, we now have the ability to test for Ebola that we do routinely in Lassa. So it is just...
LPR TV, we want to say welcome to this broadcast and thank you for being here this morning. As usual, we always like to have this sort of community engagement. We see this very much important and very much good in that it helps to give us a sense of what is happening in Liberia. You listen to the gentleman that the communication consultant at the Phoebe Hospital in Bangabong County. I'm not sure. Yesterday we gave it to the government. They initiated a process, right? I put a process in place. But from time to time, the implementations and the finishing aspects of some of these things here is lacking. And there's no way that we will just allow this to go by. It was on the basis of that you saw that commentary that was issued by the Liberia Public Radios and the African Star newspaper. We strongly believe, have all reasons to believe that the government of Liberia and the health authorities, they still have a lot to do. Evident of that, I want you to listen to this regarding the EPA executive director, a suspended director that was picked up. We think a lot needs to be done. There's no strategic plan. To talk to the guy from Bangabong County. We have not seen any facility being set up. We know there are limited resources, but we have to do what is right. And you do not want to create a situation as a government, thereby people who are supposed to come forward to be quarantined, they will have what I call insecurity within because there is no assurance. Let's watch this audio here that you all listened to yesterday. It's been flooded on the social network. We're still waiting for the authority at the Institute of Public Health in Liberia to answer our call to have some of these candid conversation. I'm not sure whether there is a specific quarantine center in Liberia. If that is the case, I'm willing for them to have that discussion and for us to validate that information. But let's listen to this here. You listen to it. It's all on the social network. A second case is already been reported that also ties in with the suspended EPA director. Let's listen.
Positive. So I said, but then since my appointment is positive, let me call the health team so they can come and do my test because I don't want to move from the airport to the house. So I called the people have me, and then minutes the people I saw the ambulance to my house, and then they came and asked for me. I come and I identify myself, and they told me to get the ambulance. I walk in the ambulance. They said, "Oh, bring me to redemption." While on my way, unfortunately, they passed by redemption and brought me all the way to the barrier. So I asked them. I said, "But you told me you carry me to redemption. Why you people bring me way here?" They said, I know, they not give me no good story. And since today, I think at the 6 hours now, they're sitting in the ambulance in front of the gate. I'm tired sitting in the ambulance now. I want to get out and go home. I told them to carry me back. If they can't find a solution, let them carry me back home. So okay. I can quarantine myself.
Okay, so let's do it first step by step. Did you drive your bus from the airport to his home?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what day was it?
It was on Friday night by 8.
Okay, who along with your boss was on the vehicle? Who all were on the car?
The security and myself, we call him Mauro.
Okay, his security were on the car?
Yes, sir.
Were you? So that three of you?
Yes, sir.
So from the airport, where did you guys go?
From the airport straight to your house, and then he got out from the car and went straight upstairs in his room.
And then you leave from there, you go home, eh?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So after Friday, did you go back to the hall again?
After Friday, Saturday morning, I went to your house. I took the car. I washed the car. After washing the car, I didn't see him. Actually, when I went there in the morning, I didn't see him. He was still in his room. I took the car, I washed the car, everything. After then, he told me to go home.
How long you been driving for, Honorable Blama?
I'm going to 3 years now.
Okay, 3 years now.
Yes, sir.
We are told reliably that you're a member of the First Baptist Church. Is it true?
Yes, I'm a member of First Baptist Church, and I also play the instrument in the church. Because after Friday when you came, I didn't practice. Saturday I didn't practice. They called me that I was going for a concert to St. Nangwe Church on 13th Street.
So you went to St. Nangwe attended the program. How long did you stay in the church?
I stayed there from morning to afternoon. The service, everything was over.
You shook hands a mate. Did you shake hands with people?
Yes.
Are you married?
Yes, sir.
When was the last? Have you?
Yeah, I've been interacting with my family up to today. Share myself with.
How many children you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so who went for you today? You said they help people. Who did they introduce it? So as we speak, you're right in front of the shuffling barracks.
Right now, the driver is in the car along with other person in the car with me. We all sit in the car.
Can I speak to the driver?
He said no, he don't want to talk to you. I don't know why. He don't want to talk to anyone from my phone. So he told me to put the phone on loudspeaker. But right now, my phone loudspeaker get perfect.
For his name?
Yes, sir. Where's the name, sir? His name is Momo who? Momo Kawa, his name. Okay, the other person next to him is Friendship.
Okay. Okay, so you say you are currently right in front of the barracks, the BTC barracks? Shuffling barracks?
Yes, sir. Right to shuffling barracks in front of the fence.
And how long you say you've been there? How long you?
6 hours now.
6 hours. 6 hours. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Okay, so remain there. Please don't run away, please. We beg you for the safety of our country. Since you've turned yourself over, we respect your patriotism for the country. Remain there while we make some calls to get you out of there, yeah? Don't run away.
Sir.
Please do not run away.
All right, sir. I really appreciate it.
It's a Willem Bala. He's the man believed to be the driver. Okay, he's confirmed. Okay, he said he's the driver of a Nathaniel Blama. Yeah, it's believed because it hasn't been confirmed. 6 hours now, he's been deposited there. They're just in the car and nothing. He wants to run away. So we thought that it was important we interrupt our news to bring this flash to the people of Liberia. Thank you.
For him, they come for him. They're coming for him. Oh, they're coming for him. Let's come for him. They're coming for him right now. Y'all can't carry him. Y'all put in a hospital. No! They want what they get. They want what they get at the horse. What? Won't show y'all they go. Yep, they come for here and recording everything. On that side, so on that side they come for here and recording it to send it to you. Yeah, right. They come. What is happening?
I mean, direct contact and copy with me. It's not for you. Yeah, your friend woman are going. You the place here.
Y'all come for it. They're running behind him. They're running behind him, calling the car, and he ran away.
You have seen the video yesterday when health personnel went to pick up inside salon. So Nakusha, big boy, not take care of yourself too, okay? Problem on the ground. The community is also adding up to that. But who can we to real video? It becomes evident to me. And listen to that gentleman, the interview. He did an excellent job. To have patriot coming forward. And can you imagine? And that's one of the bases. On the basis of this, we issued that second commentary. There must be a chain of communication. There must be a protocol. Government and health authority must set up an institution where folks, infected people will be quarantined. This seems not to be the case to me. This is a gentleman who came forward by himself to say, okay, something is not right. I heard my boss, XYZ is going on with my boss. Let me take a telephone call. The right thing he did. That's the right thing. And I'm waiting for the health authority or even the government of Liberia to answer this sort of question here. Instead of taking him to where he's supposed to be going, to get a checkup, 6 hours. You heard it, 6 hours. He was kept in the car. He's hungry. He's not being fair. So what next? You expect him to sit there? He wants to leave. So if the government is a health issue, but of course, politicians, they are the decision maker. They are the stakeholders. And this is why the African Star and the Liberia Public Radio in the second commentary. By this time, where are those knuckleheads lawmakers? This is the time supposed to come together. This is the time that Joseph Boyka, the Benana Ure, what his name, Alexander Comey, the George Weather to save Liberia. This is the time they're supposed to go in their strategy room to put plans together as to how they can combat this virus, how they can put plan, how they can put forward a position to the government, whether they will accept it or not. This is the time the government of Liberia, the president, by this time I should be hearing from these lawmakers supposed to act. Even the funding for that role, if the funds are there, some should be taken from there to be invested into this case. This is serious. What you see happening later during the State of Union with this whole impeachments of Donald Trump being disrespectful, refusing to shake Nancy Pelosi hand off, tore the sheet off. But what happens? When this virus came about, the Republicans and the Democrats in the bipartisan sat overnight and provided allotted emergency funding. Where is Darius Dillon? Where is Akaras Gray? Where is Nyombli Kanga Lawrence? Where is Vani Shema? This is for Liberia. This is in the interest of Liberia. We need to call a section now for an emergency. There is no quarantine stations in Liberia. Because if an individual can come forward by himself to say, oh, because this is what I heard from my boss, and I need to come forward, and he did it as a patriotic Liberian. And because there is no public health awareness to that extent I can see, this gentleman is quite right. And Liberian people, the surveillance people are so stupid The only thing Liberian people can run from is rain. Even when gun is firing, they want to see where the bullet is coming from. That guy, he was supposed to sneeze, let everybody be infected because that's what they wanted. How silly they can be. It's not a show. It's not a football match at the Samuel Kanyando Sports Complex, nor at the ATS. And you see, out of them, there's just all around the place. But perhaps if a protocol were put in place, I don't think it want to be where it is. That is a complete humiliation to institute a protocol, to put in place a chain of communication, to establish. I know it is tough, and I know government can do it, and this is why all of us who in the talk show, the political commentator, the desk commentator, all the packyard, we need to sound this as a strong message to national government and even the opposition. Nyomli Kanga Lauren by this time should be calling as head of a political party to call for the emergency section. One nation by this time to call or for the president to call for the emergency funding to combat this deadly virus. But the other than setting, what kind of people we have in our country? That you can't stand up to the people. It was quite different. I tell you, this is more deadly than the Ebola virus. Do you think Donald Trump going to leave the thousands of Americans being infected, the challenges that is being faced here? You think he's going to not doing anything? We are not creating the education. We are not telling the people the danger that is involved. Yes, the opposition, the COP, the WOP, to bring all of those in both houses of government and authorize the government to release an emergency funding. Even the road that we are talking about, if they are funding for that road, some should be allocated to attack to go towards this pandemic. But we have created a very, very volatile situation. The first man that turned himself over to say, okay, this is what happened to my boss. I need to make a follow-up. He was kept in the car for 6 hours. That's what I'm going to be acting on because I'm still waiting to get a call for the health authority to give us the permission to allow themselves to come for us to have this sort of conversation. But that has not happened. That man was called. But the president also alluded that there was government officials. Where are those people? This has been consistently over and over and over. We just do not even know all of the truth yet. Who knows down the road we'll get to know different thing other. Yeah. This is a global issue. You know that. And I call into Al Jazeera, a country 57 million. So this one here, who can run wrong? Who can run state? That's it here. America get her own problem. Europe has her own problem. Every country is having their own problem. Listen to Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa in the nation's address to his people.
We're imposing a travel ban on foreign nationals from Germany, the United States, the United Kingdom, and China as from 18th March 2020. We have cancelled visas to visitors from those countries from today, and previously granted visas are to or through the European Union, the United States, United Kingdom, and other identified high-risk countries such as China, Iran, and South Korea. This is effective immediately. Government will continue to regularly issue travel alerts referring to specific cities, countries, or any foreign national who has visited high-risk countries in the past 20 days will be denied a visa. South Africa isolation or quarantine on return to South Africa. Required to undergo high-intensity screening. All travelers who have entered South Africa from high-risk countries since screening and testing measures at OR Tambo International, 72 ports of entry into our country, which are through the land, sea, and air, with effect from Monday, the 16th of March. 2. All non-essential travel for all spheres of government outside of the Republic is prohibited. Secondly, it is essential, therefore, that while we appreciate the economic, religious, and cultural significance of social, as we have said before, the current circumstances require extraordinary measures. Cabinet has decided on these additional measures. Gatherings of more than 100 people a day and other large government events will be cancelled. Where small gatherings and control. Schools will be closed from Wednesday, 18th March, and will be shortened by a week. Government is working closely with colleges, universities to intensify hygiene, control, and other measures. Visits to all correctional confirmed case of a student who has tested positive contact with the student will be quarantined. The Minister of Higher Education and Training and country and will soon be announcing measures in this regard. We call on all to take all necessary measures to intensify hygiene control and other places frequented by large numbers of people to bolster their hygiene control. Thirdly, we are in the process of identifying isolation and quarantine sites in each district and metro. Capacity is being increased at designated hospitals in all provinces. We are also increasing the capacity of existing contact tracing processes. We are partnering with the private sector to set up a national tracking been in contact with. We are undertaking a mass communication on everyone to change their behavior. We'd like the people of our country to wash their hands frequently with soap and water or hand sanitizer when coughing and sneezing with a tissue or flu-like symptoms. We're calling for a change of behavior amongst all of us. We must minimize physical contact with other people and encourage the elbow greeting which is this, rather than shaking hands. Because of the severity of this virus and its rapid spreading, government will make funding. Since the outbreak of this pandemic, our government's response has been led by on the outstanding work they have done. Together with their able support teams, they've been able to steer our country through this challenging and uncertain period. As part of the intensification of this effort, we have decided the National Command Council will include, amongst others, members of the Interministerial Committee and will meet 3 times a week to coordinate all aspects of our extraordinary emergency response. My fellow South Africans, it will have on the day-to-day life of our society. This coronavirus called COVID-19 will also have a significant and potentially lasting impact on our economy. In the last few weeks, we have seen a dramatic decline in economic activity in our major trading partners, a sudden drop in international tourism, and severe instability across arrivals will be exacerbated by both an increase in infections and the measures we are required, the viability of a number of businesses, job retention, and job creation, mitigate the expected impact of COVID-19 on our economy. This package will consist of various fiscal and other measures, and it will be concluded following consultations will be extremely disruptive. Our priority must be to safeguard the health and the well-being of all South Africans, to minimize the number of infections, and to ensure all those infected get proper treatment. While we are battling fear and ignorance, we must appreciate the causes amongst our people, but we should stop spreading fake and unverified news and create further apprehension and alarm amongst South Africans. While we are facing a medical emergency far graver than we have experienced in recent times, we are not helpless. We have the knowledge, we have the expertise, and we have partners, as in various institutions, various countries. We also have the World Health Organization working with VLI. We can limit the effects of the coronavirus on our people and on our country. Although we may be limiting physical contact, to bring us closer together. We are responding as a united nation to that we collaborate and that we take common action. More than that, it requires solidarity, understanding, and compassion. Those who have resources, those who are healthy, need to assist those who are in need and who are also vulnerable. All the institutions, every company, every trade union, every non-governmental organization, university, college, school, religious group, taxi association, funeral association, stockfills, all of us will need to play our part. We thank those people who suspected that they may have been exposed to the virus for coming forward to be tested and for taking measures such as self-isolation to prevent further transmission to others. They are putting the well-being of others ahead of the risks that they themselves could face. On Saturday, we welcomed 104 for the task they performed with pride and efficiency to return them to the country and ultimately, finally, to their families. The repatriation has been successful. Military health officials, the pilots, exercise. We thank the leadership and the people of Polokwane. We also extend our gratitude to the staff and the management of the Ranch Hotel in Polokwane, who have accommodated our compatriots and have also subjected themselves, who have taken it upon themselves to disseminate information about this virus and to raise awareness. We also thank those businesses that have taken steps to protect their employees and those unions that have taken steps to protect their members. Ministers who are at the front line of coordinating our response to this crisis will be briefing the media and the nation tomorrow, where they will unpack details in relation to the measures that we are announcing tonight. I have great trust that our people will respond positively to this call for common action.
Silence about the playing of the Liberian national national anthem.
My fellow citizens, epidemic, which is rapidly spreading around the world. The spread of this virus represents the greatest threat to the health and well-being of the 60. Let me assure you that government is taking every precaution and actions to protect our borders and ports of entry. However, a confirmed case of the COVID-19 virus. The infected person is Mr. Nathaniel Blama, Executive Director of the Environmental Protection Agency, who arrived in Liberia on Brussels Airlines on Friday night, the 13th of March. Mr. Blama chose not to be quarantined in keeping with the health protocols that were in place at the airport. An intensive tracing exercise is on the way. All other persons who travel on that flight and bypass the mandatory screening protocols are being made to report to the health authorities immediately and without any further delay for testing. Any other person who attempt to bypass screening at any port of entry, that the situation is under professional management by the health authorities, who have adequately prepared themselves well in advance for this eventuality and report any suspicious medical behavior to the authority for our own safety. It is very important that we all follow the guidelines set out by the health authorities and adapt our behavior accordingly. My fellow citizens, ladies and gentlemen, in view of the above, it is necessary to take certain immediate actions in response to this threat. There must be a strong focus on hygiene from every individuals and organizations. Everyone should wash their hands often, several times a day, with soap and running water, and use hand sanitizers wherever available and affordable. All offices, businesses, schools, churches, and places of public gatherings should provide hand washing facilities at their entrances. There should be no handshaking whatsoever. Use a knob or your head for greeting each other. My impending national county tour is hereby postponed due to this new development on the coronavirus situation. All travels and from all countries with over 200 or more coronavirus cases are hereby banned. All citizens and residents are urged to avoid public gatherings and large crowds and try to keep a minimum social distance of at least 6 feet from people with fever, cough, sneezing, and difficulty in breathing. Non-essential travel by all officials of government is hereby banned. All non-essential employees of the government are hereby granted a paid leave until further notice. The Civil Service Agency will announce the roster of employees in this category. Minimize your travel within Liberia and to from abroad to that which is absolutely necessary. This referred especially to cross-border traders and travelers coming to Liberia from infected countries and apply particular to all government officials. As President, I will remain focused at the highest level of leadership and concern until this threat has been neutralized. However, as Liberia has now moved from the precautionary stage to the containment stage, we will need your full support and cooperation as you change your behavior to follow the simple guidelines and measures that have been recommended above. We will also be relying on the cooperation and support of our international partners as we work together to eliminate this deadly virus from our country. Please take note and govern yourselves accordingly. May God bless Liberia. May God bless you all. I thank you.
African Star and Liberia Public Radio bring you this news commentary on the breakdown of compliance with health and safety rules in Liberia, which have now led to a confirmed case of the coronavirus in the West African country. The drama surrounding the disclosure of the first confirmed case of the coronavirus known as COVID-19 in Liberia on Monday, March 16, 2020, was not a big surprise. The WEA administration's admission that an official of government, the executive director of the country's Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, had tested positive for the highly contagious COVID-19 virus raised the spectacle of the following critical concerns. 1. The lack of discipline and respect for health protocols in Liberia and in Africa. 2. The perpetuation of the big shot syndrome in Liberia and Africa, by which officials have their own set of rules. 3. The Liberian government's long-term dependence on foreign technical capacity and assistance in times of crises. 4. Centralization of materiel and resources in the capital, Monrovia. And 5. Lack of national leadership on the containment of the coronavirus in the country. African Star and Liberia Public Radio last week warned Africa about the urgency of instituting clear and effective prevention and containment measures. In Liberia, since March 13th, an unknown number of persons have been exposed to the individual who tested positive. If the allegations are true, then it was totally reckless for the individual who has been identified by the government as the confirmed COVID-19 case to have ignored compliance with health and safety guidelines at the airport. It is a well-known fact that public servants who occupy high office in Liberia and parts of Africa often flaunt public laws because they consider themselves better and privileged above ordinary citizens. Even after a positive test and medical evacuation from his home became necessary, the individual in question chose to write the protocol of how he wanted to be taken to the hospital, drive behind an ambulance. This is gross recklessness on the part of this public official, and he should know better. Additionally, there was no expectation that clear public health protocols will be implemented were a COVID-19 suspect identified for quarantine. Citizens who choose not to be quarantined can expect no repercussions because a weak national health system and political leadership are distracted, and national policies are party-driven rather than people-driven. The consequence is that the poor and vulnerable in Liberia will be hugely affected for some time. African Star and Liberia Public Radio are citing the Liberian health authorities and political leadership over incompetence and deteriorating governance. It is unacceptable that many citizens have now become exposed to the risk of contracting COVID-19. Citizens must peacefully register their outrage and reconsider support for the type of political leadership that continuously forgets who they work for, the people of Liberia. African Star and Liberia Public Radio offer the following recommendations. Identify and approve emergency budget. Designate appropriate quarantine areas across Liberia and inform citizens accordingly. Create quarantine information exchange mechanism to facilitate communications between quarantined individuals and family members, and this must include feeding and medical care for quarantined individuals. Establish an emergency budget to fund disease surveillance, training, treatment, and post-treatment counseling. We call for an independent financial management team to handle the disbursement, distribution, procurement of material, and audit of resources allocated for the emergency program. That the Liberian government will undertake an aggressive public awareness campaign on the coronavirus. Provide regular update on containment of the disease. And as part of our public service commitment, the African Star and Liberia Public Radio will make available their platforms to enhance public education and campaign so that together we defeat this pandemic. This news commentary is a collaboration between African Star and Liberia Public Radio.
Okay, well, folks, there you have it. I'm Afonso Z and Sort of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. We want to thank you. Time check here is 2:37 p.m. Eastern Standard Time from the New England Bureau here of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. That's our commentary here. The first one went out. The second one based on the information we gathered from the government and health authorities in Liberia. You listen to the President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, and that of President Dr. George Weah. And I have all reason to panic and to be worried because from what I saw happening yesterday to what surfaced on the social network, it appears to me until our request has been granted by the Dr. Fallad, who is the head of the Public Health Institute in Liberia, to provide some explanation. It seems to me there is no quarantine section or facility in the country. Why with an individual? You listen to Cyril Ramaphosa. Everything was so conclusive. All of the people that are involved. This is not a blame game here, but all of us must be involved. But somebody must channel this course. And we strongly believe the government of Liberia should take the lead. And this is why we are calling on the CDC-led government, all of the oppositions, all of the precious group, now to sit together and strategize to put a comprehensive plan. I thought by this time the Akaras Gray, the Daros Dillon, the Nyombli Kanga Lawrence, the Joseph Boyka, the Benana Ure, the Alexander Cummings, they were put aside partisans and try to curb something. Or the lawmakers, the Oscar Coports, and all of the tough-talking people. There must be an emergency funding. I think the issue of the rubber fee highway must be tabled. Right now, it is not an urgency. The urgency, it is the virus issue that is ongoing globally. America is not going to turn to you. South Africa is fighting her own battle. Cote d'Ivoire is fighting her own battle. It's globally. Europe is completely locked down. Where is the running water, Mr. President, that people are going to wash their hands, 15th or something? That's not, it's not factual. It's not being authentic with the people of Liberia. There is no running water. So why the people don't even, where are they going to buy sanitizer? I who here say I can't even get it in my own state. People barely get it to eat. We are hearing gasoline will soon be going over the place. Okay, that's a different ball game. But I think in as much little is being done, is still insufficient. I just spoke with a communication chief at the Phoebe Hospital from Banga. There is nothing there. South Africa, this gone Saturday. And I know people had to hear this because when you try to make comparison, but operate within your limited resources. Maybe the president can take some of his corner media houses and they can be used as a quarantine facility if we do not have anything in Liberia. About 121 South Africans, according to the Associated Press, Al Jazeera, and you listen to the president's speech, they were brought home and they were taken straight to a facility where they have been quarantined. And the president alluded that someone with that virus came forward and it was gracious because it helps to minimize the spread of this virus. But there was an alleged individual. That individual name was called. What happens to the rest of the government officials that were also on that flight? And a good who I consider as a hero of Liberia, to the driver of that individual, came forward to say, oh, this is what happened to my boss. There is a suspicion in me. So I want to be tested. This guy, he's in the choir. I strongly believe he's a Christian. And he admitted to the interviewee that he had contact with people. He turned himself over. And 6 hours that gentleman was kept in the car, starving. So where is the hope that somebody with a potential virus will even want to go forward? I think the government of Liberia, the health authorities, and all of the stakeholders, they have a lot to do. The people, you're joking in that country, and you're taking this to be serious, taking this to be a plaything. All of the opposition, the imposition, the government positions, or whatever, people needs to come together. The health industry needs to be equipped. It needs to be supported. If you can't even protect them, how can they even care for people? You listen to the consultant from the Phoebe Hospital. Where is the quarantine facility in Monrovia? Ivory Coast is having issue. Guinea is having issue. So if somebody is identified in my own town village in Grangie there, are you telling me that you're going to be breaking that person to Monrovia without that person, he or she having a contact with that person? So there must be by this time, they must have a zone of sections, or it must be broken down to if you have in the east, from the south, or whatever, where you should be taken. We know there are limited resources, but the country is rich. This thing is being in the air. America is struggling right down to deal with this situation. I was just on air here and I was getting news alike. So do you think America is going to listen to you, or Europe? When Europe is completely locked down, this is serious than what we thought of. because of less public outreach. This is why the individual yesterday and even the driver, they were humiliated. And the South African government, the president said it. Ignorance, and this is directly coming to us. People were all out there. And I mean, I was going to sneeze, let everybody take it and go. It's simply because there is no protocols. The government or the health authority did not put in a protocol that will allow the process to facilitate smoothly. People were all running behind the young person. And there are so many stories, who knows, at the end of the day, we're going to get more of that. Mr. President, the great United States of America now, they have reduced the craft size to 10. That 200 is too much. No more battlecraft for now until almost otherwise order, until authority with the World Health Organization and the world is stabilized. 200 is too much. 200 is too much. No political rally. Because when the entire country is dead, you will not even leave. So this opposition, the political parties, it is time for them, for the sake of Liberia, to sit under one roof. No matter what has happened, who wanted to be president, who wanted to be senator, it is time. There is an emergency funding needed to help to execute this process expeditiously. Because if you can equip and facilitate and make things available to fight this pandemic, I'm telling you, it's going to be terrible for us. Jack Ma is a business tycoon from China, is in South Africa, who was delivered huge consignment, according to Associated Press and Al Jazeera. And South Africa say is prepared to help their African brothers. So if I were you or the health authority, they better be reaching out to Cyril Ramaphosa to send some of these logistics to help our people. It's not just only sitting and telling people we are prepared, we are doing this. No, that's not it. When you quarantine, then you have to feed them. When you quarantine, then you have to create a chain of communication. You can't get my brother, sister, or family member, then I can establish a contact. That's what makes government is broadened. And that's what makes a government, to handle government is not a small tax. Now, there will come at good times, there will come at bad times. When the good times come, you will never know the leadership. But when the bad times come, that's where the people look up for leadership. And this is why all we here at Liberia Public Radio and the African Star newspaper, when we critique, we put forward recommendations, we put forward solutions, we create the conversation to thereby the awareness. And we are willing, we are prepared to make our platform available. Since last week, I've been calling the executive director, will come. This morning, I'm happy that the executive from the Phoebe Hospital, he was here, and we began to get an insight of what is going on. There is no quarantine center in Banga. So when somebody is identified as potential virus carrier, it means you're going to be breaking that person. Will you charter a car or will you charter a plane to bring that person to Monrovia? What is the possibility that person will not have in contact with another individual? So LPRA and African Star are saying there must be, we know there's no resources, but find it. That's what makes it government. Create those centers. Even if that one bedroom, let them be there. We do not want it there, but we have to be proactive to get ahead of the game. If there's no quarantine center in Monrovia, Mr. President, give one of your houses and let it serve as a quarantine center. After that, they can bleach it, they can do whatever they can, disinfect it, and it will still be your property. But for now, Liberia is at risk. And if we do not stand as a people, as a nation, we are sending this alarm again. All podcast hosts, all political commentator, whether for the government or for the opposition, if you cannot take time to be authentic, to be genuine, to address these issues that are facing our country, and to talk to your political leaders to put aside political bickering and come on the same roof to crave and to put something in place, tangible, that the Liberian people will get reassuring, we are heading for a disaster. And we are not going to sugarcoat anything that we're going to say it as it is, because we want to go on record. I don't want to be in the position that, oh, I wanted to talk this at the time. No, I'm talking it now. And this is what regularly, routinely, as we begin to get information, to will release commentary to address the situations as we critique. We'll also put forward solution. We'll make recommendations. It's at the volitions of the government to accept our recommendation or to deny it. But we want to be part of the process. So if you are listening to me under the sound of my voice, far and near in Liberia, in the USA, our next thing we want to embark on, we want to have a recording. Look, you listen to what Cyril Ramaphosa said, massive comment, massive information awareness. It is important. I know Liberian people, they are here, highly rock. They're only afraid of rain. When gun is firing, they want to see where the bullet is coming from. They're stretching their neck. They don't care whether you're going to go in your head, they will die, but they want to see where the bullet is coming from. Evidence is of this incident yesterday. Medical personnel, government, and people all there, because there's no protocol. That you have children, people all there, they don't even know. Suppose that man start coughing and start sneezing all in the place. Everybody will be infected and they will go away. Where are the rest of the folks that were all on that flight last Friday? Where becomes of them? Who are those government officials? Can somebody tell me that there was no interaction, those guys that were on the plane? Before I sign off, your time is gradually taken away. I'm going to be back here this evening, but we attach serious importance of what is going on because we are monitoring what is coming from all parts of the world. Over 57 million people in Philippines, a certain part of Philippines now is being quarantined, according to Al Jazeera and Associated Press. So this is not a fun. This is not a plaything here. It's a serious business, and we want to communicate with our government to understand, and our people to be aware of the danger that hangs over our country. If you don't know how dangerous this one, this is more than Ebola. This is more than Ebola. If America, if Europe, all of the great nations are still struggling to deal with the situation. You just heard this morning Donald Trump, he said it was when you were listening to some of these talk shows and the conservative talk show hosts here, that was Democrat creation to bring Donald Trump down. Yesterday, the tone of Donald Trump has changed. It has changed. The conservative were talking about July to August. And now they are calling for some sort of stimulus to help people. We do not have that capacity. So the projection now of this year, it must last longer than we thought it to be. And so we need to be sensitive in the head of our people. We need to tell our leaders there must be an emergency funding now for Liberia. The Yombli Kanga Lawrence, the Akaras Gray, the Daros Dillon, is no time for battle cry, calling people on a sycamore tree, calling people on a coconut tree. That's not a time for it. It is time to empower our health institutions to deal with this crisis. We must be able to get ahead of this before even friendly government can come to help. So, if you are a Crown woman, you are a Bala woman from Nima County, we are willing, if you can do a self-video recording and send it to us, maybe to communicate in your dialect, and we will play this, and it will make the people to understand this is serious. This is no joke. It's not just about washing hands. My job now, before you enter the facilities, you have to do your temperature. You got to take your temperature. It has to be recorded. If it is 100 something, you go home. Emergency people now, I don't know about your state, emergency now is not even taking people unless if it is life-threatening, because you watch news. They might or they do just not have the capacity to deal with that. So it is serious. I was told this morning People got money there to Liberia to even get at the bank institutions, everything getting crowded again. We are hearing gasoline issue and all of that. We are not hoping for that, but we must be proactive to get ahead of the game. So we got to be honest with people. We're not going to can't do salad dressing here and to act like everything is okay, everything is not okay. Mr. President, there's no running water in Liberia, so there's no need to tell people to wash your hand with running water. Where is the running? They don't even get it to drink. So say it as it is. Be honest with them. There will be a tough times ahead. That 200 there is too much. Cut it down. No gathering a party unless health experts or people are meeting to find solution to this problem. And before I take leave of you, folks, this one, no health practitioner needs to tell you to do anything. It's common sense. Right now, I'm traveling with a bag, a glove pack bag, and get my little bit wipes, because you just do not know who. Don't shake people's hand. I know it is our tradition, it is our culture, but you know what? Certain time comes in your life, you have to deal with it as it is. And the reason you want to carry that glove is every day you're taking gasoline. You got to stop at a filling station. You know how many hands going on that handle? Get your glove with you. It's not there. Some of them running out in this very pharmacy. But buy one, they're still there. You go and do your fill in your car, put it on your left hand, right hand, put it there. You finish, you trash it. Don't take it and go put it in your car again. No. It's already contaminated because other hands went on that handle and you put in yours there. You're using your debit card to do stuff. You're putting your PIN in. Other fingers enter that keypad before you're doing it. So make sure go with your own, have your own glove. You don't want to take something out there and break it home and break it to family members. So we are here to create an awareness to tell you as it is. We're not here to set dinner for people to come and eat something. Go, no. There are some things that you would not want to hear, but we will have to tell you because you need to know about it. Well, it's 2:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully, we're going to be back here this evening for the last segment, and we hope that all of us will have a genuine conversation. I'm so happy that we're able to talk to the folks from Bond County this morning, and I hope the Bongese and all Liberians, for that matter, what is happening at Phoebe hospitals is saddened. And it is almost insult is about to add up to injury with this COVID-19 coronavirus. What time has caught up with me here, I'm Alfonso Ziansot of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. Now, all of you, the professionals here, this is not about George Weah and opposition business, all of us. Some of you doctors, some of you nurses, some of you health practitioner experts and all of that, counselors and this and that. Please let us know and come. We want to bring you here to have conversation to create some sort of public awareness. We are happy we have Professor Joel, who is always here. But if you think you have some sort of educational program to serve or to give to your community to create some tips, let us know. We're going to bring you here. And this is what this network is all about. We're not just here to poke in the ass of the government or opposition. You, me, we all are responsible. We do have shared responsibility. And this is why when it comes to Liberia, we want to do it. If you want to record in your dialect, whether from Sano, whether you want to do it in Kra, you want to do it in Gio, in Mano, in Basso, whatever dialect it is, as an awareness, do that recording, send it to us, and we'll play it, and we'll distribute it because it's good to see something visual as well. Our people are stubborn. But there is a saying that says there is no Bible for child. What can we do? We can't throw Liberia away. Liberia is our own country. But we must all help to make Liberia strong and make Liberia to survive. And part of that is to have a genuine conversation. We must say it as it is, with respect, not insult. But when we criticize, we must also put forward a plan. And that's what we intend to do here from the Liberia Public Radio and the African Star newspaper. Time has caught up with me here. Every good thing must come to an end. Join me this evening. And I hope to get some messages here from me, whether from LPR page or my own personal inbox is welcome for us to have a conversation. The issue of this virus, folks, it is real. America, one of the greatest nations on planet Earth, if it is panicking, if you have realized in your state, how many pharmacies I've gone to this morning, I couldn't even find a hand sanitizer again. There are some basic things you can't even find right now. So that it to show they have their own issue to deal with. You think Donald Trump, the man who called us shareholder, you think he's going to leave his country yet, especially in the periods of election time, and say he's going to go out there to help Africa or do something? Or you think Europe, yes, WHO is helping, but these people, every government is being burned out from this virus. Every government, every part of the world is shaking from this virus. It's unprecedented. So what's about a country people barely get it to eat? They live on us here for them to survive. I got a message. Somebody, one or two places, probably Western Union play the closing. And so what happened when they start shutting down stores and all of those places? What becomes of our families, of our people that are living on us? I will be back here this evening. Late this evening by God's willing, same time, same stations. Hopefully I have the strength, but we will try to do that. I'm going to get some rest, and we're going to come back here because we are very, very much concerned of what is unfolding in Liberia. We believe the government and the health authorities, with the limited resources, they must step forward. There must be a quarantine facility by this time. I don't think it was fair that gentleman who turned himself over to be kept in the vehicle for 6 hours to the extent that he was hungry, he wants to run away. If ordinary people hear that, how do you think they want to turn themselves over? No. And all of us citizens, I don't know what's wrong with us. The people, they were so humiliated yesterday. It could be any of us family. Even though he acted silly, he should have gone through the process. And I'm not sure whether that was the right thing, how the government also handled it, but it is why it is. We have to move forward with it. But our citizens, we need to talk to our people. Just yesterday, car hit somebody on one of the boulevard. One or two went there and were beating on people instead of as a police. The complex problem in Liberia is so overwhelming. It's just hard and very difficult to discuss. Trained officer, you went there, instead of asking people who know there was some bystander there who can give identity of the car that hit the person and run away, he took us time and started beating people. Spoon TV was carrying that stuff like. So how do you gather evidence? Where are you going to know? People that you're supposed to hear from, you met them there to ask them as a trained and professional officer. Instead, he was beating people to run it. So what is it just about taking the body? Would that be the solution to the problem? Well, folks, I got to leave it here. I'm Alfonso Zianso. Thank you for being part of this problem. Being part of this program here, no problem. We don't want people to be part of the problem. We want people to be part of the solutions. That's what we envisage here to do. Until then, we'll be back here, same time, same stations with this network. In the interest of African solidarity, we want to wrap it up here this afternoon, and I'll be back this evening for your informative Tuesday program, The Forum. Until then, have a pleasant afternoon. Bye-bye.
Ọmọ tó ọ̀sùn, yàrá ìsìnkú ìwọ̀n kíkó, di àpẹyẹ lùtẹ́nu jí gbọ́sì àdébọ̀ o, dédé développement national ẹ̀dẹ́bí o, àó, bèbè yẹn pa mẹ́ o. Àwọn yìí gbọ́dú ògbìn gbọ̀hún ìmọ̀, dèmẹ̀rí yan sí àṣìtọ́yé ìpínlẹ̀ yẹn, ọ̀sẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ rí ẹsẹ̀ rẹ̀ nù ẹ̀ o. Àwọn ògbẹ́hùn ọkọ̀ pápá wọn jí akẹ́, àwọn bọ́pẹ̀lẹ̀ Titi abwa mwa plaje. Ya opa kruda dwe abwa kruda Nyoko iri kwa pye yoko. Ah opame o. Nyonu abaye choisi ze choix sans ou boaga. Seikua des abombe. Ah opame deme o. Ajedi super o. Mama se de Teresa se o. Mama po Clementina se o. Mama Benjo Charlotte se o. Mama Ule Agnesa se. Mama Guillema se o. Joe Dimitri Oka Cynthia. Merci Maman Fan Club BBS. Amical des âgés. Capitaine